Oh, hey, Wonder World. Happy motherfucking Tuesday. Guys, it's been 9 motherfucking days. 9 days. I took 9 whole days off, completely off of my business. I didn't touch social media, not a single motherfucking scroll, nothing for 9 motherfucking days. So I'm back and I have so much energy. You guys are just gonna fucking explode. So say hey when you're popping on, because today we are diving behind the scenes of a seven-figure brand and what it really took to build a seven-figure brand. Because I feel like everybody who's at this level kind of always talks about branding like where they're at now, okay? And that's not particularly fucking helpful for you, okay? Because where they are now within the branding context is way fucking different than the things they had to do when they first got started building that fucking brand when it was a brand new baby, right? So just say hey when you guys are popping on. Let's get this party started today. Hey Sam, hey, how's it going? Glad to be back today. All right, guys. So what we're talking about today is branding, branding, branding. Okay, so first of all, what the fuck is brand? Okay, because normally when I ask this question, what people say is fonts and colors, right? They're like, it's my fonts, it's my colors, it's my logo. No, the fuck it's not. Okay, those are all the aesthetics of your brand. And I'm not saying those things are not important. Of course they are, right? For example, right now I'm sporting a ClickFunnels shirt, right? We went to Funnel Hacking Live this year. So this is the brand shirt that we got here. So a lot of people will say when they look at a brand that's like, okay, it's this font that ClickFunnels is using. It's this red and blue that is associated with their logo, and they kind of have this gear thing that they use in a lot of even their older logos. It progressed through the evolution, and they're like, this is branding. Kind of. This is the aesthetic of branding. This is not what branding is, because really at the core, your branding has a lot more to do with your core values. It has a lot more to do with your bigger mission than your fonts and colors. Okay. Fonts and colors are not going to make and break a fucking sale today. They're not going to call in clients. They're not going to repel clients. That's not going to get you what you fucking want. Okay. What gets us what we want, which of course is more clients, it's retention of those clients, and it's building a brand that has a legacy that people know, right? That we have that name to face brand recognition. That comes from your core value. Okay, it does not come from fonts and colors. In fact, there's a lot of fucking big giant ass brands with ugly ass fucking logos, okay, right? That aren't special, that don't have bells and whistles, and don't really fucking feel like very much at all. Because the underlying mission is what creates the fucking movement. Does this make sense? Right? So I want you to think about your brand right now. Okay. Let's just kind of start with your fonts and colors, right? Okay. What color do you associate with your brand? What is that color that pops into your mind when you say your brand, this is your color? What is that thing that pops in for you? Because most of the time people chose a color for an actual reason. Okay. It wasn't just like, oh, we chose red and blue because of America, right? It was probably for something else. There's something specific within the color that you chose. So, what is it? Why did you choose that color, right? What does it mean to you? The significance beyond the fonts and colors is what we're really talking about when we talk about brand. And so, when I set out to build this brand that built up to 7 figures in my first year, I came in the door hot, and I took action, guys. I took messy action. I did not go pay somebody to build me a fucking logo. I did not pay $10,000 for a fucking branding package or a silly fucking website, because I knew that what was important was connecting with people. Okay, because your brand is not what the fuck you say it is. It's what people say about you. And the fact of the matter is that if people are not talking about you, you don't have a fucking brand. Okay. There is no brand if people are not saying your name. If people are not talking about you in one way, shape, or another, talking shit or otherwise, right? If they're not talking about you, you're irrelevant. And so, in that irrelevancy, you have no brand, even if you have fonts and logos and colors. If you are not being talked about, you don't have a brand. And this was something that I already knew coming into the business, right? Because guys, spoiler alert, I was already fucking successful before I got here, okay? Yeah, I made 7 figures in my first year in this fucking business, okay? But guys, before this, like I was kicking ass and taking names in bartender land. I was a president of the Bartenders Guild. Like I was already successful before I got here. Okay? I was a consultant for million and billion dollar companies. Like I took bars from 100 from making $15,000 a week to making $150,000 a week. Okay. So I came into the game with skill sets. And one of those skill sets was brand alignment. Okay, because this is a big thing that we do in bartender land, not just for the bar itself, but literally for each bartender. We brand align each bartender within the bar to create a cohesive brand profile. Okay, so I already knew all this shit coming in the door. I already knew that if I came in and I was like focused on fonts and colors and spending $10,000 on a fucking logo, that I was blowing fucking cash that didn't fucking matter. Because what really matters is the connection that we have with people. And guys, how do we create connection with other people? Okay, it's one single word. Any guesses? What's your guess here? How do we create connection with other people? One single fucking word. What is it? I'm gonna take a drink and you tell me, what is the one way that we connect with other people? It's motherfucking emotion. Okay. It is emotion. That is how we connect. And so your impact frequency, that is what your true brand is. It's what you stand for. It's what you stand against. Because remember, people don't remember what the fuck we say, right? They remember how we make them feel. And so that context of what I was building back then, this was the feeling behind this was opportunistic poise. Okay, so when I came in here and I started this Facebook group that grew to 10,000 people in the first fucking 6 months, and I made $150,000 in my first fucking 6 months, okay? When I came in on the fucking scene, I was representing a feeling. And that feeling was opportunity. It was opportunistic poise. Because when I first started this Facebook group, we were in a world full of fucking scarcity. Okay. Like all of the fucking big groups, all of the fucking princess groups, right? You weren't allowed to do promotion. You weren't allowed to talk about your offers. You had to be really sneaky and create all these phishing posts. And it was fucking disgusting. Okay. And I came in the door and I was like, fuck this. This is fucking stupid. I don't know why we have a group called Women Helping Women when you're not allowed to help people in the fucking comments. You got kicked out. I got kicked out of that group so fucking fast from helping people, not from promoting, not from fucking dropping my link, but literally from answering people's fucking questions about how to get clients. They kicked me out of that fucking group. And I was like, this is bullshit. Okay. And so I stood against that scarcity mindset, that fact that there's not enough to go around. I stood the fuck against that shit. And I was like, I'm going to fucking run my Facebook group and I'm going to let everybody fucking promote. I'm going to have you come in here and tell us all about your goddamn offers. I'm going to tell you, you come on here, fucking do a live. I don't care. Get clients out of my fucking group. There's enough money to go around. There's not a limited resource here, right? I hated that bullshit. So I stood against it and I did it so aggressively and I did it so clearly. And I stood up in front of everyone and said, fuck this nonsense. And guess what? People followed me, right? I started a fucking movement and now it's totally normal. Now everyone's like, everybody promotes in groups. That's not the way it fucking used to be. Okay, that's not the way it used to be. This was the first group that did that. And everybody got pissed off at me, right? Everyone was so fucking mad. I had so much fucking hate mail. But guess what? People were talking about me, right? So remember, you got to have the hate too, right? It's part of it. If you're not polarizing, if you're not showing up for something, then you're not showing up against something, then you're just a fucking warm bowl of water and nobody knows who the fuck you are. And that irrelevancy kills a brand faster than a bad logo, faster than fucking stupid colors, literally over fucking night. It's being irrelevant that fucks you. So in relevancy, how do we generate that? How do we have that impact? Well, it really comes from your core values. It comes from what you give a fuck about. Okay, for me, it wasn't just that you weren't allowed to promote in groups. Like the underlying piece of this was that I came from bartender land. I came from a world of fucking male dominated fucking oppression. When I was running the Bartenders Guild, I was sexually assaulted by one of the national fucking members, right? He was fucking 15, 20 years older than me, right? And, sexually assaulted me in his car. Okay. And that oppression, that feeling, and then I reported it and they did nothing, absolutely nothing. The fucking injustice of like the bigger people holding down the little people, fuck that noise. I came into this world with the vengeance for that. Right. And I stood against it. So when I saw the same kind of things happening, where it was like these people that own fucking Facebook groups that have 500,000 fucking people in them, and they're like kicking people out for helping people when the group is called Women Helping Women, they're kicking people out for this. Like, the oppression of that. Like, I stand against that shit. Okay. I hate that other people think that it's okay to hold people down. Like, it's so weak. It's so weak for you to use your power that way. Right? Like, what a fucking lame thing to do with a 500,000 person Facebook group. What a lame thing to do with your national title running the fucking Bartenders Guild is to fucking hold little girls down. Ridiculous. I stood against that shit. And because I was so like absolute about it. I spoke in absolute, I mean, I still do. I speak in absolutes. I have that clarity of vision. I know who the fuck I am. I know what I stand for and I know what against. It makes it so that it's easy for people to follow me. Okay, people want to follow me or they fucking hate me. One of the two. But you don't kind of like me. Okay, you've heard of me, you listen to me, you don't listen to me, you like me, no, you love me or you hate me. That's it. And when you build a brand context that feels like that, you start a motherfucking movement. Okay, and that movement is what generates the behind the scenes of a 7-figure fucking brand. It's not the unicorns and fucking buttholes that you see in the logo. That's not it, right? The logo did not make this brand what it is. My core values did. Okay. And so this is something where a lot of people have a really hard time with this because their core values are things that are fucking kind of a little bit wishy-washy. So let's talk about your core values. Okay. What is your core value for your brand? Let's come up with 3. What are those 3 things that you stand for in your brand, that core value, those things that you really believe? Okay. One of mine is transparency. Full butthole transparency, in fact. Okay. I'm going to tell you how it is, whether you fucking like it or not. And some people don't like that. Some people want sugar-coated bullshit. Some people want fluff. Some people want a fucking cheerleader coach. Bitch, that's not me. Okay. I'm going to tell you the truth. And I'm going to tell you the whole truth. When you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. I'm not going to just tell you what you want to fucking hear. And some people really hate that in a coach. Some people just want someone who's going to hype them up and tell them that every idea they have is awesome and that everything that they're doing in their business is great and that's all they need. Great. Those are not my clients, right? My transparency, my willingness to go behind the scenes and tell you the fucking truth is rare in this industry. It shouldn't be, but it fucking is. And it's the thing that put me on the map. Okay, because I came up here and I started spouting the truth. I started telling people behind the scenes stuff where they were like, wait, like I thought that this was all not how that, like income claims, right? People were making false income claims and like I had proof of it and I fucking put up this fucking reg receipts. I'm like, here you go. Like this shit is not fucking real. These bitches are lying. And people were like, whoa, like you can't just expose people like that. I'm like, the fuck I can't, right? I'll do whatever the fuck I want. I can say whatever I want. That transparency comes through. A lot of people are very put off by that. Okay, that's good. That means it's working, right? So you have to have a core value that means something. Okay, it can't just be like, I stand for love. Bitch, everyone stands for love. Okay, everyone stands for love and against pedophiles. That's not a core value. That's not polarity. That's not branding. That's not identity. That's just universal. Okay, you've got to find something that actually means something that some people are going to be on board with and some people are not going to fucking be on board with. That's what core values are. So, what are your core values? What are those things? Okay, so like when I look at this in my business, okay, and I look behind the scenes, it's not just how you operate your marketing. It's also how you operate your sales systems, your delivery systems, right? It's also how you operate your team. Okay. It's like what's written in those fucking SOPs. Okay. So one of the things that I stand against is codependency. Okay. So that means I stand for interdependence. And this is something, again, that gets people really fucking upset. Okay. Because in the coaching industry, codependency is fucking rampant. Okay. It's rampant. It's like, oh, come and get me if I'm failing, right? Like, we don't do that shit. I will not wipe your ass. I will not fucking hold your hand. I will not fucking hold safe space for you. I don't do any of that shit because it's codependent trash. And I don't perpetuate that narrative that you need me. Okay. A lot of coaches do that. A lot of coaches help you to believe and you willingly do it. So it's your interdependence is coming in, right? Yeah, you willingly believe you need your coach. I don't do that shit. I stand against it. I don't like the way the coaching narrative runs. I don't like that people manipulate people into believing that they need a coach. You don't need a coach. You're perfectly fucking capable. Google it. Use fucking ChatGPT. Get the fucking answers on your own and fucking make it happen. You are perfectly fucking capable. If you want to come into my coaching programs because you want the fast track, great. I will help you to fucking get there faster. I will help you to step over the pitfalls. I will help you to work through your mistakes quicker because you can leverage my mistakes in the fucking process. But I'm not here to codependently wipe your ass and make sure you get results. It's not my job to make sure you get results. It's your job to make sure you get results, regardless of what the fuck I am or am not doing. I joined every coaching program I have ever joined has not been perfect, right? You want to know why? Because perfect coaching programs don't exist, right? And every single one of those coaches has fallen short in some fucking way. And you know what? I still made millions of dollars. Even though the first coach that I joined had a bunch of bullshit ass fucking templates that were cookie cutter crap. Doesn't matter. Still made $1 million. Okay. The second coach that I bought from, his modules were not modules. They were 4-hour-long fucking replays of coaching calls, like fucking hundreds of them. Don't care. Still made millions of fucking dollars, right? I don't make it somebody else's fucking problem to get me results. That's my problem and I solve it. And so that's how I coach and I lead my fucking clients, from a place of interdependence, knowing that you are wildly capable of success regardless of what the fuck I am or am not doing, right? And so I guide you in that way, empowering you and speaking to your highest truth, speaking to your higher self, not meeting you where you're at in your fucking self-sabotage patterns. I don't do that shit. I don't reinforce self-sabotage patterns because I want you to keep paying me. That's bullshit. I stand against it. And you know what? That hurts a lot of people's feelings. Okay? It upsets a lot of fucking people. So you've got to look at your core values. You've got to look at those things that you do differently than everybody else. And you've got to look at the polarity of those things, right? Why does it matter? Okay. I'm not going to just say I stand for interdependence and I stand against codependency. Why? Okay. Tell me why. Give me that impact frequency behind the fucking closed doors, because that's what sets you apart. That's what gets people to gravitate towards you. That's what creates the movement. That's what creates the followship, right? People are going to come and follow you. They're going to join your Facebook group. They're going to come and join your email list. They're going to join your fucking programs because of this core value fucking alignment where they're like, yeah, fuck codependency. Like, I don't want to fucking be dependent. I don't want to be manipulated into dependency by a coach. Fuck that shit. I'm never buying from somebody like that ever the fuck again. And then they come and they buy my fucking program because they want self-sovereignty. They want self-assurance. They don't want to be coddled. They want to be fucking successful. And successful people don't submit to coddling, right? They don't want that shit. So that helps me to attract and helps me to repel. And so if you want to do client attraction, which you're in a group called Unicorn Client Attraction Secrets, so that's why the fuck we're talking about it today, right? If you want to attract your clients, you've got to stand for something and stand against something, because there is no attraction without repelling, right? So you got to think about the why behind it, and you got to feel into that, right? For me, like the emotional context of codependency, I mean, it comes from years of abuse. It comes from years of being in manipulated relationships where like I allowed myself to choose to be in a pattern of fucking abuse for years and years and years. And so when I came into the coaching industry and I saw coaches using this in their sales processes, using it in their marketing, using it in codependent delivery, I was like, you guys are disgusting. Like, you guys are just like my fucking crazy ex-boyfriend. Like, I'm not gonna do this. Like, I will not do this to my clients. I will not pain point poke people. I will not do that shit. I will not manipulate you in a sales process into making you buy something by twisting the knife in your side. Fucking, I will not do those things. And once you get inside of my program, I will not make you believe that I need you or that you need me, that I have the success key that you don't have. I will not do that, because that's exactly what my fucking ex-boyfriend did to me, right? Like, and I mean, I let him, okay? I chose it. I chose that fucking abuse, but I'm not going to perpetuate the fucking cycle of that. I stand against it. And so do you see why that matters, right? It's more than just standing against something that's like super easy and super flimsy. You got to find that deeper level of connection. You've got to find that layer inside of you that's different than what's being already set on the market. If you just agree with everybody else on the market right now and you're like, yeah, me too, okay, then you are a follower. You are not a leader, and that's fine. Go buy people's shit. But if you want to lead and you want to build a 7-figure fucking brand, I got to tell you something. You're not going to be doing that with your business besties, okay? Because they're not going to agree with you. You've got to understand that when you're building something that becomes a 7-figure fucking company, you're going to be met with adversity. You're going to be met with people saying, that's not how the fuck it is. And you're going to have to hold your fucking resolve anyways. Like, I have to walk into a room every fucking day full of people who disagree with me. Every fucking day. And that's what builds 7-figure business, is my willingness to carve out my own path, regardless of what the fuck everybody else in the industry is fucking doing. I don't go along to fucking get along. And that's why I made $1 million in my first fucking year, because I came on the scene and said, no, I will not fucking create another Facebook group that doesn't allow fucking promotion and fucking literally punishes its members for helping people. I will not fucking do that. I will not poke people in the fucking pain points. I don't care if it does make me more money. I won't fucking do it. I will not manipulate my clients into thinking that they need me to be successful. I don't care if that increases client retention. That's fucking disgusting, and I won't fucking do it. Okay? There's resolve in that. There's that ideology that comes in the stand for and the stand against. This is my brand. And that's the kind of resolve you've got to have, right? You've got to have that fever. You've got to have that heat, that belief inside of you that doesn't waver when somebody else suggests something to you. Okay, you're not going to be able to walk into my fucking house today and suggest that I move the fucking couch. Like, I don't want to move the fucking couch. That's where the couch goes. It goes under the fucking window. And I don't care if you think it should go on the other fucking wall. I'm not up for fucking your opinion today, right? That's the kind of resolve you've got to have in your brand. And that's what I don't see. Okay, most of the time, when I'm talking clients and like they're coming in new and they're like, oh yeah, I've got this brand and it's pink, white, and taupe and it's cute and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great, what the fuck does it mean? And they're like, it means I like pink. I'm like, that's not a brand, okay? That's not a brand. Nobody can get behind I like pink. Why do you like pink? What is this about for you? What is that underlying context? What does this fucking mean? What is the significance? What is the goddamn relevancy? Because if your brand is not relevant to you, I promise it is not relevant to anybody else, because your mission is only as important as you believe it is. Okay. And this is something, guys, like you really got to get on board with that. Okay. Because if you're like, well, I'll believe it's important if everyone else gets on board, that's not how people get on board. You've got to have that heat. You've got to have that drive in your soul, even when people, especially when people disagree with you. Okay. Because that is what creates competitive edge inside of your brand. That is what actually moves the needle and makes an impact and really turns people's fucking heads. Okay, so right now I'm doing something a little bit fucking nuts, right? I'm launching this fucking book. So I've kind of like taken my business and put it on the back seat and let my team fucking run everything. But I'm launching this book. And guys, this book is not a biz book. Okay, so it's not a biz book. There's not like a fucking, and then that's how I attracted fucking 22 clients. That's not what it is. It's not client attraction. This is a book that I started before the business. And I didn't realize until afterwards, like until I was literally doing a whole bunch of interviews. I was going on podcast interviews and prepping for the launch and doing all the things, right? And these interviewers were asking me these questions about like, you know, when did you start the book and why did you start the book? And it was like, I hadn't really answered those questions yet, but I heard myself talking and I realized that the book has always come first. Always. I started the book first because the book was about me processing, transforming, transmuting my emotions around my domestic violence relationships, transmuting that out of those sabotage patterns into self-sovereignty. I started the book 9 months before I started the fucking business, right? This book has been 5 years in the fucking making, right? And now it's finally coming into fruition. You guys are going to have first grabs at it next Tuesday. It goes live, right? And so you guys will be able to get your first fucking copies. I have a fun little surprise for you along the way. I'm not going to blow it today. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. You know, I'm bad at keeping secrets, right? But it's a movement, right? It's not like, oh, I wrote a nice little color story and then, you know, it's about the unicorns and buttholes. It's not, right? It has a purpose. Okay, it has a belief system behind it. And that is why last month I got 1 million views on my personal profile, right? Because I'm saying something that other people don't say. And the thing that I'm saying within this construct of domestic violence is that we need to stop vilifying abusers. And everyone is losing their mind, okay? Like everyone is losing their mind. They are not happy with me saying that. But the fact of the matter is that we're focused on the wrong villain. We're focused on something that's never going to change, right? If we really say that we want systemic change and we want this abuse to stop, then we have to identify the correct villain. And while we are sitting here with our torches and our pitchforks running down abusers, the real villain's just walking right by. It's like, yeah, go get them, boys, go get them, right? And then we are repeating these cycles for years and years and years. I mean, the fucking statistics are staggering for how many women who are in abusive relationships who were born into abusive relationships, right? Whose children become born into abusive relationships. The generational fucking statistics are disgusting, right? And same on the other side. Okay, the people who are abusers were abused, right? And then they raise abusers, right? So what is the actual problem here? It's not the abusers. What causes this in the first place? Fucking the feeling of worthlessness. Okay, the feeling, the emotion, right? Because that's where the movement comes from, is that feeling of being worthless. When you feel like you're worthless, you tolerate terrible things. When I felt like I was worthless, I tolerated terrible things, not just for me, right? I tolerated terrible things for my children. Okay? I tolerated terrible things because I felt like I deserved the pain. I felt like I deserved to get hit. I felt like I deserved to get stolen from. I felt like I deserved to get manipulated. Why? Because I felt worth less. Worth less than him, worth less than money, worth less than happiness. I felt worthless. And that is a systemic fucking problem. And that is the true villain. So in this fictional novel that I've created that is loosely based on my domestic violence experience, I'm creating the movement, right, of understanding that we can't just continue to go torches and pitchforks against abusers because that's never going to change the problem because we're addressing the symptom, not the actual root, right? So while we're focused on the symptom, the root continues to grow. It continues to nefariously destroy our relationships inside out and backwards from parent to child over and over and over again because we're not addressing the underlying fucking cause. And that's what this book challenges. And that is a very challenging thing because nobody wants to fucking hear that, right? I'm learning. No one wants to hear about radical responsibility when it comes to relationships. They want to continue the victim narrative. And I'm done with that. Okay, I put down my victim narrative in order to, yes, become a survivor, but I didn't stop there because being a survivor still means that you're tethered to your abuser. You're literally only relevant because someone abused you when you're calling yourself a fucking survivor. Okay. And I realized that and I moved beyond it to create the so that what movement. Okay. The so that what movement allows you to get to that next frequency. It's like, yes, you were a victim. You were abused. Yes, you survived. Congratulations. So that what? What are you going to do with your survivorship? What are you going to do differently? And it challenges that narrative. See the polarity in that? A lot of people disagree with me, okay? A lot of people are like, abuse is abuse, like, and abusers are bad, and that's it. That's the end of the story. We are not going to have any radical responsibility discussions. A lot of people feel that way. But the brand that I'm building in A Shadow Called Sunshine, it has polarity because it challenges people who've been abused to look at their own personal choices in this because nobody got punched in the fucking face on the first date. You saw it coming. There were red flags. I definitely saw it coming. There were lots of red flags. And I stayed. I stayed after I got punched in the face. I went back after I left. There's radical responsibility in the choices I made that contributed to me continuously being abused. That was my choice. I kept showing up for it again and again and again. And I kept tolerating worse and worse and worse fucking behavior because I felt worthless. The problem wasn't him because the truth is, it wasn't the first guy, right? So it wasn't him. It was me. I was the common denominator. I kept choosing it over and over and over again. I kept calling it in, seeking out abuse because I was abusing myself on the inside by calling myself worthless, by creating that narrative over and over and over again. The outside matches the inside, right? That's the power that we have because our thoughts and our feelings literally create our fucking reality. And until I took responsibility for the belief patterns that I was creating, nothing changed, right? This is what's required of you within a brand, within a fucking movement, in becoming the person, in really being able to show up in this way. You've got to say something that other people are not willing to say and that other people are not going to agree with. Because that's what creates the movement. That's what turns the heads. And that's what the core identity is underneath all of your fonts and colors and your fucking logos. You want to build a really impactful fucking brand. Well, guess what? You got to have a really impactful fucking truth behind it. So, what is that truth for you? What is that belief system for you? Right? What is that thing that you're saying that no one else is going to say? Because that truth, that's what becomes your content. Hi, and you put it into 5 algorithm hacking pieces of fucking content. You put it out on your fucking personal page and you start calling clients into you that resonate with your core values. When you're speaking that truth, right? That frequency of authenticity is so fucking powerful when you're telling these core aligned brand stories and people are feeling those emotions with you. This is when you attract high ticket clients, right? So for those of you who don't have that formula yet for those 5 algorithm hacking pieces of content, drop a unicorn in the comments. We'll send it over for you. You can have content that crushes for just $7. This is the same technique that I teach inside of my $10,000 client attraction program that helps you to call in ready to invest clients who are in the catalyst because you're using this emotional context of your core aligned brand story to pull in clients that are ready to say yes, ready for transformation, ready to fucking change, ready to get those fucking results. When you call in those clients, they buy with ease, right? This isn't some big long sales process. This isn't endless fucking nurture cycles. This is why I made $1 million in my first year, because I didn't speak to people who were married to their pain, who were going to take forever to change. I used my core aligned brand stories to use content that crushes, these 5 algorithm hacking pieces of content, to close 10 high ticket clients in my first 6 fucking weeks. This is exactly how I built this business to 7 figures in my first year, using that brand, that impact frequency, because we know that income is just a symptom of impact. So you've got to be willing to make a really big impact, because that is what's going to result in really big fucking income. All right, guys, we're heading over to Money Making Unicorns to peel back some strategic layers on how you can use your brand impact, specifically in your storytelling skills, to be able to call in your ready to invest clients. So get your ass over to Money Making Unicorns. Let's go peel back some strategy layers. Everybody else, drop those fucking unicorns and we'll send you over content that crushes. And you will also have an opportunity to get your ass into Money Making Unicorns, that $47 a month strategy-based membership to help you to kick ass, take names, and make some fucking money. So get out there, do all the wonderful things, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.